I know it is in here somewhere. But where? Where? What is up, everybody? Random Random Man here, bringing you my review for the 2017 film adaptation of It. By the way, towards the end of this video, I'm going to be leaving details about a giveaway contest that I am holding, so you may skip to the indicated time frame to get more information on it. Now, the plot for It is based on the novel of the same name written by Stephen King, as it takes place during the late 1980s in the small town of Derry, Maine, as it follows 7 young misfit children who deem themselves the Losers Club, as they are in the midst of mysterious disappearances of children occurring in their small town. While trying to solve the mystery of all this, they face their fears and discover that the person responsible for these disappearances isn't a person, but an it. Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Going into this movie, I was interested in it despite me not being the biggest fan of horror movies. They're my least favorite genre of film, as I've mentioned in the past, but when I see a really good horror film, I sing its praises till the cows come home. There were a few other things for me to consider when seeing it, though. One, I am terrified of clowns. Yes. Are they my worst fear? Maybe, maybe not. But for as long as I can remember, I was always afraid of those things, especially evil ones. Even though in the intro of this video, I showed a picture from my first birthday. I wasn't scared of clowns then necessarily, but as I've gotten older, I've deemed them not my friends. 2, I have never read the book that this movie is based on. And 3, my memory on the previous adaptation of this novel, the 1992 part miniseries of the same name, is pretty vague. I remember the sequences with the young kids and, of course, Tim Curry's memorable performance as Pennywise. He surely creeped me out when I saw him, even though he was more over the top than scary to me. But the rest of the miniseries is dated, so going into this theatrical film version of it had me interested once again, but also for how much darker it looks than the 1990 miniseries, as that was made for network television, and this film adaptation looked to be hardcore with its R rating. Starting out with the cast, easily one of the best parts of this version of It, just like the 1990 miniseries, are the kids and Pennywise. So, starting out with Jaden Lieberher as the leader of the Losers Club, he certainly has grown up a lot since I saw him in St. Vincent, which came out in 2014, and he gives an outstanding performance here. He is involved in the catalyst of what starts all of the craziness in this story. We also have Jeremy Ray Taylor as another member of the Losers Club. He is the overweight kid of the group. He was very good. Sophia Lillis as the sole female member of the group. She kind of looked like a young Molly Ringwald. In fact, that's even addressed in the movie as a joke, but I thought that she was superb. We also have Finn Wolfhard as the very talkative member of the group who won't shut up to save his life. I certainly can relate. He is one of the main kids from the Netflix series Stranger Things. He was very good there, and I also think he gives a really good performance here too. Wyatt Olef as the Jewish germaphobe of the group, he was good too. Chosen Jacobs, man, all of these kids have really cool names. Chosen Jacobs as the token black guy of the group, he comes in to the group later on, but I thought that he gave a fine performance as well. Jack Dylan Grazer as a hypochondriac kid, he also gave a solid performance, and the rest of the actors in the film, whether they are the teenage bullies or the oblivious adults, I thought they did fine with their bit parts. But of course, we also have to mention the big kahuna of the cast, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Now, it is a tall order to live up to Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise, but I think that not only did Bill Skarsgård give himself his own identity as the clown, but I think that he is probably better. To me, it was that Skarsgård, along with the eccentric makeup and clothing he was wearing. To me, it was more so because he gave a subtler performance than Tim Curry did in the 1990 miniseries. He was certainly crazy, kooky, over the top, but Bill Skarsgård, for the limited screen time that he does have, he was effective in his appearance showing every time he was on screen. Everyone in the cast really does do great jobs. The writing in this film is pretty interesting in the way it is structured plot-wise and how we see the narrative play out. The first and second halves of the film are very much different from one another from what I noticed. Again, I have never read the book that this movie is based on, so I can only judge it on a pure film basis. But the first half of the film is us getting to know the Losers Club and how they come together and what we see them being most afraid of individually. Then the second half is when it gets more loony of sorts and much darker as well, to see all the kids trying to take down Pennywise. To me, even though this decision kind of made the pacing a little slow to start out with, I thought this was an inspired choice to have us get to know these kids a little more than I even expected. Yeah, some of the kids get more development than others throughout the film, yet when we see them come together and bounce off of each other, it is dynamite. Their dialogue is very much realistic in how kids really do talk with vulgarity throughout their youth. I mean, I certainly said fucking shit when I was much younger. Still do. So it reminded me very much of how kids interacted in other films from the same decade that this movie is taking place in. So stuff like E.T., The Goonies, Stand By Me, which is another Stephen King adaptation that was based on The Body, and even Stranger Things. However, the difference is, compared to those other projects I have previously mentioned, it is a grittier and much more grimy, dark tale that involves these children, and that's when the movie does create a sense of atmosphere to get us suckered into the plot. Stuff based off of Stephen King novels that gets turned into movies definitely get a lot of points for setting up itself and being ominously creepy. That goes with Andy Muschietti's direction. I thought he did a more than competent job directing this film, having a lot of scenes play out with intimacy and how the kids interact, but also setting up something that was frightening. That's not to say that I was scared throughout this movie, because there is no concrete definition of what makes everybody universally scared, because what scares you may not scare me, and vice versa. Again, I mentioned that I am not a particularly big fan of evil clowns, but there were some sequences that genuinely spooked me. There was an overabundance of jump scares. That's another issue I have with this film. A few too many of them popped up and made the film feel kind of formulaic, with some horror tropes popping up everywhere and really kind of repetitive because they didn't need to be there, because this movie is less horrifying and more effective as a coming-of-age story, really, just with some horror elements thrown in there. But when the horror elements do show up, wow! This surprised me a little bit of how far the movie went with showing a lot of blood, gore, guts, anything like that. A leper even, which one of the kids is afraid of, looked particularly disgusting. Needless to say, the movie shows us all of this in a well-framed fashion. This movie, simply put, has great cinematography, and by extension, the production design is also pretty stunning. We see really authentic-looking locations of this small town looking very much lived in, really quaint. These other locations that go into the more grueling aspects of the movie, like a decrepit house, the dirty sewers, the subtle score with the film, the music, really added to some of the more tender moments, but also using some, again, cliches and having loud noises pop up everywhere whenever we are supposed to be scared. But I also think the movie is well edited for the most part too. Whenever Pennywise does show up on screen, it uses the fast cut, like rapid moving type of effect there. But I thought the effects in this movie were well done too. A mix of practical effects and CGI. It also is well paced for the most part with its running time. I feel like I've said the word "it" a million times in this review, but oh well. The movie runs at about 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is pretty lengthy for a horror movie and a coming of age movie that this movie is, in my opinion. And I thought that it still flowed really well. The first few sections of the movie I did think run a little bit slow. I mean, the catalyst for this film is, of course, Lieberherr's character's brother, Georgie, flowing a paper boat down a rainy day and then discovering Pennywise. That's what starts the rest of the movie. And a little bit after that, the movie does continue to be slow, and the movie becomes slow again towards the end with the final showdown with Pennywise. But everything else in between, I still thought made the movie engaging, emotionally engaging specifically, because I didn't expect to be as touched as I was with the film. I mean, the relationship between Lieberher's character Bill and his little brother Georgie resonated with me, and other aspects of the kids' relationships with each other too got to me, and feeling like this came from a simpler time when movies were made like this back in the era it is taking place in. But of course, there are aspects of the movie that will terrify some people. This is certainly a well-made movie all around, between its solid acting, writing, direction, other horror elements sprinkled in between that give it its style. It wasn't as scary as I expected it to be, as I still felt that there was an overabundance of jump scares in between, and it did drag at times. Yet that did not stop me from seeing essentially an adolescent coming of age movie that is a strong one at that, and it will leave some people scared depending on who you are. I mean, again, I wasn't that frightened by this film, but maybe you will, and it does delve into the big theme of fear and other stuff that did surprise me along the way. Plus, I'm pretty sure we're getting a sequel to this movie, seeing how this film concludes, and it's going to emulate what the 1990 miniseries originally did with its two-parter. I'm totally on board to see more. I definitely recommend it. My final verdict for it is 4 out of 5 stars. Alright, so you either watch the entirety of this video or you just skip to the end because you like free stuff. And who doesn't, as I am giving away yet another digital HD copy code. The last time I did this was, wow, last year, summer of 2016. I had a ton of fun doing that, and this time the movie that I will be giving away a code for is for the film Get Out, one of my favorite movies of 2017 thus far. I know I said I don't like horror movies that much earlier, but this is a total exception. It's more of a psychological thriller. It surprised the hell out of me when I saw it in theaters, and I want to give back and give any of you who haven't had a chance to see this fantastic film yet a chance to do so. So, the rules for this giveaway contest are as follows. Rule number 1, like this video. Plain and simple, easy as that. Rule number 2, comment that you want to be entered into this giveaway contest. Also, in that same comment how you would like me to give you the code, either through email, through YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr even. I'll leave all of my social media links in the description below, starting with this video, so you guys have access to that. And rule number 3, you must be subscribed to this channel prior to September 16th. I don't care if you subscribed yesterday or if you subscribed to me a year ago, just be sure you're subscribed to my channel before next week, as September 16th is the day I'm going to stop taking comments and randomly pick the winner. I will pick the winner for this digital copy code during the end of my review for the film Mother next week. Yet another horror movie. Wow, I'm keeping up a horror movie theme here, and it's not even October yet. So yep, those are the rules. I will leave the guidelines in the description of this video along with the rest of my social media links. Good luck to all of you that enter. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of it. Social media links in the description. Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.